Hello, everybody. I am so excited today to be joined by the wonderful and amazing Marie. And Marie, I need you to tell me how to say your last name.
It's Swoboda.
Swoboda. That's really fun to
Yes.
say. Marie is a fertility care practitioner, and she is going to be joining me at my center at Divine Mercy Nutritional Care, teaching Creighton Model to women that want to learn more about their cycles and how to dive deeper into charting them with a very specific way of charting the cycles that her and I were both trained in with the Creighton Model Fertility Care. So welcome, Marie.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. I'm so excited to be here. Oh, I
You're
can't wait.
welcome. I'm glad you're here. All right, I just want to kind of dive in. I would love for you to tell everybody a little bit about you.
Yeah, so currently, well, we just moved back from St. Louis to Chicago just to be closer with our family. So we spent a good 10 years in St. Louis, and that's where I really got experience with the Creighton model system. There's a number of NAPRO doctors down there and a whole bunch of practitioners as well. But then it was time we moved our family up back to Chicago where my family is. And so we've been here for a couple months now and getting situated. But for Creighton, so my husband and I, we've been married for, I think about 5 years now. And really it was about the time when I've always had issues with my cycle. I knew something was going on. I never took birth control because I always knew like I don't really want to cover up what's happening. I want to see like these symptoms are not fun, but I want to see what's going on and really see like, am I making progress with it? What's happening? And no, I was not making progress with anything on my own. I really had no idea what was going on. I had been to a number of doctors and, they were all very dismissive of what was happening. They said, you're getting married soon, you want children, you're going to be fine. Like you'll be back in 6 months with a baby and we'll do ultrasounds and all that. And they're like, if your pain is really bad, you can switch to Tylenol or ibuprofen or, figure out something that works. Um, and so I kind of just did my own thing for a little bit, figured out what I needed to just make do. And then one of my friends down in St. Louis, she was really great. And she was like, you know what? I think you absolutely have to go to this talk with me. And it was a talk that was put on by the Archdiocese of St. Louis. And it was really just, I was listening to this other practitioner, and she was just telling me my entire story back to me, of everything that she went to, but at an earlier age. So she was able to get the help that she needed through her issues that she was having and got the help that she needed right away. And I was just listening to her. So after the talk, I went up to her and I was like, I need to work with you. I need to figure out what is going on because you seem to really understand your body. And through the course of that presentation, I was just blown away by the amount of information that she was sharing of just what's a regular cycle, what's an irregular cycle, what are symptoms and signs to look for. And it was just so eye-opening to me, the amount of information that you can get from your body. Like I just had no idea. So I worked with her after. She got me connected with some of the NAPRO doctors down there too. And through that started charting and really just uncovered a whole bunch of information with my own health. So I figured out I had endometriosis, I had hormonal imbalances, which is all scary to hear at the time, but really it was just so helpful to know what was going on. Like I always knew there was something there. So figuring out like putting a name to it helped take that just like unknown fear of what's happening and really put it into like a tangible form. It's like, okay, now I know we have these things, like let's figure out a plan for those things. Um, and that just changed everything. And so I was just like so blown away, like through the follow-up sessions of the information that she was able to pull from my charts. And I was just talking to her, I was like, I have to do this too. Like I'm so excited about it. I just really want to make sure that other women can actually learn their bodies too and figure out how to chart. So I went through the training back in, I think this was like 2019, something like that, and started learning how to chart. And since then, it's just been so fantastic and just working with other women, figuring out what's going on with their bodies too, and identifying, what can we change? What are some things that you can do to make this better? So it's really just ever since then, I love it. And I love reading about it and working with women. And so that's a big, long answer of how I got into this,
I
but
love
I'm
it.
very
That's
passionate
amazing.
about it.
Beautiful. So good. And tell me about your family too. So your own health journey
Yeah,
resulted in
yeah.
some babies.
Yeah, so it took us about a year and a half to get pregnant with my first, but Thankfully, we have a healthy baby girl, so she's actually 3, almost 3.5 now. And then I have a 1.5-year-old boy, and then we have a little one on the way who will be due here in May. So we're very excited about meeting this little one. It's a little girl. So we have one
Awesome.
girl, one boy, and then another girl on the way.
So good. That's amazing. Well, tell
Yeah.
me some other things that you have seen in your time teaching charting over these last few years, whether it's realizations that women come to from charting their cycles or things that they've tried that actually have helped support their cycles. I'd just love to hear things you've seen.
I mean, I think overall, the biggest general comment that I receive from women is just, oh my goodness, I wish I learned this like sooner. Like this should be something that is taught when you're learning, what is the period? Like this is what should be taught is like, when are you ovulating? What's the rhythm of your body and what's normal and what's not? And that I think across the board is what I hear. And some women are very like, oh my goodness, where has this been? And some women are a little bit more like, where has this been? I've tried so many things. I've been trying to get pregnant for years, and I wish that this was out there faster. But that's like the biggest like general comment. But I mean, across like throughout different women that I work with, I really see a lot of impact through dietary changes that they're making and lifestyle changes. Really working on stress, that seems to be a big one that comes up in charting. I see that all the time come up in cycles of I can tell something's going on here, like let's talk about that. And usually it was some sort of a stressful event that really came up that was hard to manage. I see that quite a bit, as well as the dietary changes. So a woman will go on the Whole30 diet or a diet that really limits the amount of processed foods they're having, not necessarily Whole30 in specific. I've seen a number of them. And it will clear up abnormal mucus patterns that they have, abnormal cycles, brown spotting will go away. Just a number of things that you can change with dietary changes. So it's very encouraging to see that. And just the more you see that and the more you see these changes being made, the more you just need to like get in and know more and just figure out like, okay, which change is specifically impacting this? I love that part of it. It's just so cool to see. And just, I love seeing the progress that women can make with their cycles.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so empowering for them too, right? I
Oh,
um
absolutely.
can't count the number of times women have asked me a question like, "Oh, I've changed this about my diet, or I made this change and my cycles changed, or my PMS got better." Is that
Right.
right? Can that happen? It's like they need an external validator, right? To know like, "Oh, yes, that can impact my
Exactly.
cycles, that can make a difference." And it's so encouraging to be there for their aha moments and them seeing, right, that there's so much we can do to support our body and our overall health. And that's the
Exactly.
beauty of Creighton too. For those of you that aren't familiar with Creighton charting, it's also really beautiful that we can chart our cycles in a way that the chart becomes a diagnostic tool. So that if it's not enough through dietary lifestyle changes, really stress management, even mindset work, if these things aren't enough, that we can take our chart and really dive deeper with a physician that's been trained in neurotechnology, which is another piece of that puzzle as well. So, Marie, what's something that you wish all women knew about charting their cycles?
I think the biggest thing is just don't be afraid of what you see in your cycle. It's really all like you'll see abnormalities, you'll see things that you're not super excited about seeing. And that may be, something that's actually in your chart, or that may be PMS symptoms that you're experiencing, things like that. And I think the biggest thing is just understanding like this is your body telling you what needs to change, or like, hey, there's an issue with this, let's work on it. It's not something to be afraid of. So a lot of those signs that we see in charts can cause a lot of fear and anxiety in women. And I think it's just important to keep that perspective of, no, this is a really good, like what you were saying, it's a very good diagnostic tool. So the fact that we're seeing something that gives us a whole bunch of information to really chart our path of like, what are we doing next then? Like that gives us our plan. So just don't be afraid of that. The body is not stagnant, it wants to heal. And I think finding those little signs of, hey, this is a really good area that we can focus on right now, can give a lot of hope.
That's beautiful. It's so true. I think that's one of the hardest things for us As women, we see these picture perfect charts as we get started, and we
Right.
want to see our cycle as a picture perfect chart. But the reality is, like, especially if we started this for a reason, because there's something off, or we're struggling to conceive, or whatever it is, we're going to see things on the chart that are abnormal, and
Exactly.
that's good. We're bringing those things to the light. And if we don't bring them to the light, we can't address them. And so it's so true though, because that is our tendency. We're like, oh, I want to this is wrong. This isn't what my body's supposed to be doing. But our job is really just to monitor and to get to know
Mhm.
our body. And that's really the superpower that we're helping you hone into, right? Is
Oh,
getting to be a
absolutely.
better listener of your body. So good. I love that, Marie. Well, I'm
Mhm.
so excited that you're going to be coming alongside Divine Mercy Nutritional Care and teaching Creighton Model in the center. So for those of you that want to work with Marie, I'll put a link in the description of this so that you can see her schedule and get started working with her.